Welcome to Connectivity with Caution, Digital Communication Essentials for Healthcare Practices. Today, we're going to discuss and review the concerns and challenges around digital communications most used in healthcare. My name is Jerry Ann Whalen. I'm a Senior Risk Consultant with ProAssurance, and I will be your presenter today. This activity will support your ability to analyze the limitations of various digital communication platforms used in healthcare and implement best practices for communications with providers. Evaluate and mitigate the risks of traditional and digital communication tools and apply risk reduction strategies to reduce potential patient harm and professional liability claims. The information provided in this presentation offers risk management strategies and resources. It does not constitute a legal opinion. Any legal inquiries about this topic should be directed to an attorney. Today, we will discuss how to identify and manage the risks associated with social media, online reviews, and emailing. First, a look at managing risk associated with communications on social media. Healthcare practices navigating social media face several challenges that can have significant professional and legal implications. Misinformation remains a persistent concern, as inaccurate or misleading medical content can easily spread and influence patient decisions. Patient privacy is another critical issue, particularly when sharing case details or photos. Engaging with patients online without proper safeguards can blur lines and risk ethical violations. Practices must approach social media with caution, prioritizing professionalism and adhering to established guidelines to avoid privacy breaches, regulatory scrutiny, board investigations, or damage to their reputation. We're going to take a closer look at a few of these now. Navigating social media requires that practices understand how patients are influenced by social media and how that can impact the physician-patient relationship. Misinformation, disinformation, and fake news are all terms that have taken on new meanings in recent years. Many social media sites no longer fact-check shared information and instead leave it up to the audience to distinguish for themselves what's truthful and accurate. This can have a profound impact on patients. Research indicates that many patients who saw information on social media did not confirm the accuracy of the information with their physician, and when they did, physicians disagreed 35% of the time. A good rule to follow is to never post information on patients to your practice website or your personal social media accounts. But things like posting before and after photos, especially involving cosmetic procedures, are commonplace. Posting without patient consent can be used against you in litigation. Even with removal of all identifiable information, a patient consent form and the intended use of the photos should be discussed with and signed by the patient and maintained in their medical records. In the following case study, we'll review how an unintentional break in this process led to litigation. In this case, a 39-year-old female patient underwent a breast augmentation procedure. On the day of surgery, she signed a photo consent form allowing the practice to post her before and after photos on the plastic surgery website. The office manager was provided training on the proper processes when uploading photos. 1 month after the photos were posted, the patient contacted the office informing them that a potential employer had found her before and after photos during their background check. In addition, the photos showed up when the patient searched her own name on Google. An immediate review of the practice's website revealed that the patient's name was posted in the file name. The plaintiff alleged breach of confidentiality and sought punitive damages for loss of wages and pain and suffering. Due to overwhelming evidence, this case was settled. Here is another real example of a social media post that could ignite a public relations firestorm for a practice and lead to a state licensing or board complaint. This was posted by a staff nurse on their own Instagram account. Remember, posts never really go away, and it takes minimal effort to ascertain where you work. Risk reduction strategies. Require all patients who agree to the posting of photos or providing testimonials sign a consent form that outlines the benefits and risks of sharing content online. Use dedicated equipment that is owned by the practice when taking pictures of patients. Prohibit the use of all personal cell phones. Photos should obscure identifiable features like the person's face and distinguishable tattoos or other marks. File names should be indexed with a case number and not include any part of the patient's name, initials, or date of birth. Ensure staff have training on all equipment and are aware that sharing pictures or naming patients on the practice website or their personal media accounts, even with consent, may breach confidentiality and violate serious professional and legal standards. Separate your personal and work email addresses and separate personal and professional online accounts. Avoid interacting with patients on open social media sites and instead encourage them to utilize the secure communication channels like the patient portal to discuss patient questions and concerns. Principles that apply to professional conduct and communication in face-to-face interactions also apply to social media. Remember, your interactions on social media are not private. Though you may believe you are interacting with only one person, the reality is that social media is a public forum that lives on indefinitely. Posts, comments, and photos can resurface time and again. Next, how to manage negative online reviews. Responding to negative online reviews presents a unique challenge, as HIPAA regulations and professional ethics severely limit what can be said in responses. This restriction makes it difficult to defend against misleading or unfair reviews, as any attempt to clarify the situation risks violating patient privacy laws. Engaging in online disputes can damage a practice and physician's professional reputation. As a result, a careful and strategic approach is necessary. This case study involves a patient who had a laser eye procedure. 3 post-op visits revealed improvement in both eyes to 20/20 vision. At the 4th follow-up visit, the patient's vision slightly declined to 20/25 in her right eye, and she demanded a revision procedure. After clinical review, the surgeon explained to the patient that he did not recommend additional surgery this close to the original surgery. The patient filed a complaint with the practice and demanded a full refund of all procedure costs, which the practice denied. The patient posted the following negative online review. I had eye surgery by Dr. Smith, and 3 months later I now need glasses again, especially at night. $4,000 for correction and I still need glasses? What a waste of time and money. I can't retreat because I'm pregnant now. Very frustrating. The practice replied in a way that disclosed PHI, including the patient's pregnancy. They even proposed it as a reason for her vision changes. Following this online response, the practice received a demand letter from an attorney informing them that their online reply constituted a HIPAA violation, entitling the patient to compensation. This case was settled, and it highlights how even the most well-intended online responses can have significant repercussions. While practices may feel compelled to address patient feedback or negative reviews on social media sites, HIPAA strictly prohibits the disclosure of PHI without patient consent, even if the patient has already shared details about their care. A well-intended response, like the one we just saw, can inadvertently result in a HIPAA violation. This means that while a practice can acknowledge a review in general terms, they cannot confirm or deny a patient's status, discuss treatment, or provide any identifying details. Replying with a generic response is recommended. Something like, "We are committed to providing high-quality care. Please contact our office directly so we can address your concerns in a confidential and professional manner." Public responses can attract more attention and escalate the situation. Encouraging patients to contact the office demonstrates that you value their feedback and you're committed to resolving issues. Ensure the practice website and other online platforms are regularly monitored and establish clear protocols for how to respond internally to negative reviews. These strategies will help maintain patient trust while preserving your online reputation. Lastly, a review of the risks of emailing. Emailing is another method of communicating with patients that has raised challenges, from simple errors involving emailing PHI to the incorrect email address or person, to larger email security concerns like hackers who obtain employee credentials and then hold entire healthcare systems or databases for ransom. Common risks of emails include using an email vendor or business associate that is not compliant with HIPAA safeguards. Free email servers like Google, Yahoo, Hotmail, or AOL do not have sufficient security to meet HIPAA compliance requirements. Even paid email services like Google Workspace and Microsoft Office are not fully secure in their default settings. Emails are created to ensure delivery despite compromising end-to-end security. So even if you have the highest protection on your email system, if the recipient does not, the email system will downgrade the security to successfully deliver the message. Prior to emailing patients, a consent to communicate by email should be signed and the patient warned that any PHI sent via email may not be secure. Adding secure in quotations in the subject line or password protecting an email may trigger a special security feature, but only if your email system is set up to recognize it. It is not a universal security measure on its own. Most standard Office email systems do not have end-to-end encryption and are not HIPAA compliant. PHI should not be sent or attached via email to any patients unless they have a consent and understand that information sent may not be secure and the practice will not be responsible for a breach. Even then, it's recommended that you send an advanced email to the patient and require they confirm receipt before sending one with PHI attached. Remember, all email communications also need to be documented in the medical record. Encouraging patients to use the patient portal eliminates these additional steps and concerns. In closing, modern communications in healthcare have evolved dramatically in past years with no indication of slowing down. It's important that all medical professionals continue to stay on top of these advances, new regulations, and mitigate risks prior to events occurring. Thank you for joining me today.